I'm just thinking in terms of if this person came into my office, what would be some of like my immediate thoughts or the questions that I would have in my head before we even got into it is how many different baby fathers does she have? You know, that's kind of really important. How far apart were the children born? So is she just popping them out? Like, what is her process to even getting pregnant? Is she dating people she has in one night stands? Like, I would want to know her whole sexual history.
Why a lot of women mismanage their bodies, undervalue their bodies. And this is going to start with this video. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I want to get the panel's reaction.
I am ESTG's sister, and I'm homeless. I have 5 kids. I don't have any support.
That was trending on Twitter. A lot of people kept replying saying she has bad pee management. I'll start with Shan Monet.
But whose sister is she?
It's a rapper's sister. Basically, she's like, how is my brother a rapper and I'm struggling with my 5 children? He's not here to help me.
I mean, I could look at it 2 ways, I suppose. I mean, she has 5 kids, so my question is, where are the fathers of the children? Because really that is the responsibility. Those are responsible parties, the mom and the dad. But on the other side, I would assume that their family is not that close knit, or something may have happened, a rift or something, because I know just for my family, they would have definitely stepped in. But if we're talking about as far as I guess I would have to have more information as far as the children are concerned. Like, were these kids, do they have the same father? Were they born within a relationship? It's just so many unknown variables. But if you are unable to take care of yourself and your children, then maybe you should have not, been so what's the word, careless with having children, so many kids, I suppose. Well, Michael Jackson say, if you can't feed the baby, then don't have a baby.
Okay, we will go with Inaz.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with Shan. There's definitely some points of context that are missing. I think my assumption, similar to Shan's, would be that the family isn't close-knit, but for a different reason. Not necessarily that they wouldn't help out, because not all families helpful, even if they have the means. But a lot of broken families tend to foster children that are a little bit more reckless about their own well-being, and tend to make decisions that are not in their own best interest, right? I think a lot of times people are taught that children are this fountain of endless love, and so some people have more children to fill a void that belongs to somebody else. So I'd assume that this is probably learned behavior, which is maybe why she's in the situation where she's not able to care for her children.
Let's go with Miss Taken, because I wanna save Nelson for last.
I don't think that she should have the expectation that it's her brother's responsibility to take care of the problems that she created, so to speak. And not to say that the kids are the problem, but the decisions that she made is the problem. And to assume that because he may have the means, just because he's a rapper, doesn't necessarily mean that he has the means to take care of her kids. He could just be getting put on just now, you know. But even if he did have it, I don't think it should be her expectation that it is his responsibility to take care of her and her children. The other question, or what I'm thinking, is at what point did she realize that the decision making wasn't beneficial to her or the children that she already had before she got to child number 5? So that's something, like, we don't know the context of that, but at some point we know that birth control was available before kid 1. So after kid 1, what happened? You know what I'm saying? So those are some things that I would think about.
Okay, and curves for life.
So I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. And me going to speak on this topic, not knowing all of her details and what her background is and things of that nature. But I mean, at some point, you have to just take responsibility for the decisions you've made. And it's nobody's responsibility to take care of your children except for you and that other partner. And it just worries me when women seem to keep making the same type of, I'm not going to call it a mistake, but making the same decision over and over again, knowing that they couldn't handle it to begin with. Like when I used to work at a call center, like when I was 24, and I used to sit right next to this girl, and she had 4 kids. We were the same age. We were both 24, and she had 4 kids. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand. I was thinking, like, dang, girl, like, how could you even handle that? And I had 1 kid, still do. But I'm just thinking, I couldn't imagine what my life would look like with that many kids. And I just feel like it's just not a good decision to make, because what's their quality of life like when you start to have that many kids? You still have to work, and we go through our own mental situations when having a kid, when dealing with kids. So I just feel like you should just stop, be more preventative, and you should never let it go that far, or you shouldn't expect people to pick up your slack. If you have a family, like I have a family who my mom helps me out. She'll watch my son when I need her, but not everybody has that. So if you just keep making these decisions knowing you don't have no backup, you're not with the men who are going to stay around, or you're not, you don't have a good family who's going to have your back, then, like, what are you doing? You're setting yourself up for failure. So that's all.
Everybody go, because I wanted to add before the therapist came in. I just wanted to. I wonder what was the point in making that announcement in front of the world per se. If he's a rapper, he's an entertainer. You can't place what you've done on him. Try to tarnish his name because of your decisions. I don't understand what she was trying
She was
to
looking
get.
for help, a GoFundMe. That's what
I think she was trying to shame him as well.
Yeah, I
like,
think it seemed
publicly.
like a shame tactic. And I'm like, those kids and you aren't his responsibility. Obviously, if my brother makes it, I would, hope. But it's not an obligation. It's just, I don't know.
So best for last, Nelson, what was your observation about this video?
To be honest, this really doesn't have any kind of context to it at all. So I'm just thinking in terms of, if this person came into my office, what would be some of like my immediate thoughts or the questions that I would have in my head before we even got into it is, how many different baby fathers does she have? That's kind of really important. How far apart were the children born? So is she just popping them out? Like, what is her process to even getting pregnant? Is she dating people she has in one night stands? Like, I would want to know her whole sexual history. What else would I want to know? I would want to know her mindset around. So we the same thing that we both commend and condemn a lot of Black women for is what I started thinking about. Black women, we give them a lot of credit. We give y'all a lot of credit for being able to hustle, being able to do what you got to do to take care of your family. So whether that is finding the right government programs to help you, whether it is bouncing between your parents for babysitting, your cousins, everything that you have to do in order to be able to work, take care, and feed your kid. We give y'all credit and we condemn y'all for that. So why is it that she is now coming and presenting as a complete victim? So I would really be curious as to that, and why she believes that there's an obligation for her brother to do anything for her, because in all honesty, she more than likely has some type of support in place. But because he is a rapper, she's going to have some type of expectation that this is what support is going to look like. So maybe she believes that she's due a little bit more because she's famous by association. So maybe she believes she should be up inside of a 6-bedroom house and all the bills be taken care of. So anything that doesn't look like that, she's not going to have an appreciation for. Maybe her parents are in the picture and doing everything they can too, but she still looks at it like she has nothing. So I would be thinking about kind of like all of those things would be circling in my head as I'm like talking to her.
So, okay, she has 5 children as a single mother. The question comes into play that goes in my head is why so many Black men think that, Black women mismanage our wombs, that we carelessly birth out babies, the single motherhood rate. Are Black women not valuing their wombs, and is that a true thing? And why so many Black men go so hard on Black women about becoming a single mother? They hold the women more accountable than the men that's also participating.
Is that to me? Or is that to the panel?
I feel like that was to Nelson. I'm like, tell us.
So when you say undervaluing their bodies, are you specifically talking about the womb, or are you talking about just bodies in general?
I mean, both, to be honest. All of it, yeah. Like they literally hate single mothers. It makes them so angry. It doesn't matter what situation happened, unless you were married, you're ruining the community.
I think that was a 2-part question.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what's part 1?
Sorry, Nelson.
What's part 1 of the question?
Part 1 would be, are Black women careless with our wombs?
Yes and no. So yes, and in the sense that y'all get pregnant a lot and very quickly, because it doesn't take much for you to fall in love. I mean, that is what it is. But the other part of it is, I can understand the reasons why you get pregnant, because one, you fall in love with somebody, you envision having a family, but a lot of times women do this before understanding what love looks like. And for men, a lot of times it's the same exact thing. So you're quicker to have a baby, because sometimes you think that this is what's going to cause you to keep a man. 2, because you want that unconditional love from a child. And 3, because that's kind of is used as a chip sometimes to, if you're on the rocks inside of your relationship and you feel like things aren't going the way that you think it should go. Sometimes there's this mentality that if I have a child, that will cause the person that I'm with to up their commitment level, and now they're going to want to do things for the sake of the family, when that's not necessarily the case anymore, especially with most of us growing up in dysfunctional families. So without us knowing each other's background and what our individual families look like, and what even having a child means to this particular person, a lot of women, they jump into relationships before understanding all of these things, these foundational things, and then they get left high and dry when they break up, and not saying that the men that's just leaving them, because it's both sides. Is sometimes it's women feeling like they deserve more and they leave, and sometimes it's men feeling like she's aggravating me, or I'm not ready for this, and they take off. So it's there's a lot of nuances to it. So I couldn't say either way that you're all the way mismanaging it, and that you're doing well for yourself. So it's multifaceted.